there, first graders. Today we're going to be in our practice book. We're on page SS1. It's not just page 1. The letters S and S are in front of the number 1. And we're going to be working with the letters M, S, and A that make the sound S, and A. At any time during this screencast, if you want to pause the lesson and get up and do something else for a minute, you may. There are 3 practice sheets that we're doing together, so you may not want to do them all in one sitting. Okay, so let's start with looking at our directions here. It says, say each picture name, write M below the picture if its name begins. That's an important note there. If its name begins like map. So you hear that in map at the beginning of map. So we're going to write an M below the picture if its name begins like map. And we're going to write an S if its name begins like sun. And you hear that S at the beginning of sun. Okay, so this first picture is a mop. Mop. Try to think, does that start with an or a S? Or neither? Okay, and then hopefully you heard it starts with an M. I want to remind you the sound. I want to remind you that when we're looking at our handwriting lines like this, we talk about the top of this top line being the headline, because we think of this as a little person. I'm going to draw his arms a little too high. Where the person's belt is at the middle, like if he was clothed here, that's his little belt. His belt line would be right at the middle. His head, the head line is up at the top, and the foot line here, there's his feet, is at the bottom. So this little person helps us figure out how to draw the letters and where to start. So for example, if this is the headline, this is the belt line, and that's the foot line, I'm going to start my lowercase m for mop just right at the belt line, kind of. And then I head to the foot line. I curve up. I go up towards the belt line again and then curve. Go almost all the way down to the foot line, but I don't go all the way down. Then I come back up to the belt line and down again to the foot line. My handwriting might not look perfect. This is a new tool I'm using, so it'll take a little while to get used to. Okay, so when I talk about headline again, that's the very top line. The belt line is here, and the foot line is there. So now we have this picture. It's a sink. And you want to ask yourself, do I hear or s? And hopefully you do hear the s sound for sink. So I'm going to start this here a little bit below the belt line. I curve up toward the belt line, around and back down to the foot line. And then we have mouse. Mouse. I hear that M. Over here we have a happy looking number 7. And I hear the S sound in 7, so I'm going to make a beautiful little S right here. And then moon, moon. This is not a bucket or a pail. I think it's supposed to be sand, because there's sand in that pail. So sand, I do hear the S. Now I see these words in bold here. That's another set of directions. So that means they're different than these directions. If you have another set of directions, they're telling you to do something else. This says, say each picture name, then write M below the picture if its name ends like jam. So we want that at the end, not at the beginning this time. So here we have broom, broom. I do hear an at the end of that word. So I'm going to write an M. This here is hat. Hat. I don't hear an so I'm going to leave it blank. But over here I do have a picture of a drum. Drum. So I'm going to write my M for drum. Okay. If you need to pause the screencast, do so, because I'm going to switch to another practice book page. Okay, this is SS2. And it says, say each picture name. Write A below the picture if its name begins with A as an apple. So if I hear A at the start, I want to write an A. Okay, so this first one is alligator. Alligator. I do hear the A sound. Let me talk about how we're going to write our A in connection with the little person with their head and belt and foot line there. So I'm going to start a little bit below the belt line, and then I'm going to come up to the belt line, make a nice fat belly there, and then I come round and up back again to the belt line and down to the foot line. Next is either, I don't know, ship or boat, but neither starts with the A sound, so I'm going to skip that one. Then we have here a little ant. Ant. Ah, ah, ah. I hear the ah at the beginning of ant. So I'm again right below the belt line. I come up, around, down to the foot line, back up to the belt line, and down again. And then we have sun. That was more of the S from our last practice book page. So there's no A at the beginning of sun, but I do have apple here. It almost looks like a peach, but it's supposed to be an apple. So I'm going to draw a nice, lovely A right there again. And then I have dog. D, d, d. That's not an A. So we're going to leave that blank. Now I see the bold writing. The bold words are the darker words, and it's another set of directions. So when there's another set of directions, I need to read them to make sure I know what I'm supposed to do. Say each picture name. Write A to complete the words. So we have there with they want me just to draw an A right here. So it's at. What's the word? Hat. Good. And then if I'm drawing an A, writing an A to complete the picture here, oops, my stem on that one went a little bit far away. It would be fan. Excellent. Okay, now our last page for today. Just gonna use my clicker there. Our last page is penmanship practice with M and S and A, and then writing a sentence that you create at the bottom here. So let's start first with our uppercase M's and lowercase m's. Okay, so I start at the headline for uppercase. I go straight down. I lift my pencil off the page, and then I come from the headline back down to the foot line, all the way back up to the headline, and down again to the foot line. With the lowercase, I'm going to start at the belt line, which we already talked about, come down, kind of follow it back up, go round and down, and round and down. And I just keep practicing that. Trying to make this as neat as possible with this writing program here. It's not as easy as it seems. It's a little bit easier on a whiteboard. So I just keep practicing these. Once you get to the blank space, they want you to continue because you really still can squeeze in at least 2 more. Oh, and I see the dots there. It's looking like they're saying maybe 3 more. But if you could only do 2, that's okay. Make sure your penmanship, your handwriting is nice and neat, and that you're doing it in the proper order. And then we have S that makes the S sound. For our uppercase S, we're starting just below the headline. And then we're going to curve, go round to the belt, all the way to the foot, and curl back up as if we're headed towards the belt, but then we stop. With your lowercase s, it's just beneath the belt line. That same sort of curve down to the foot line and then slightly up towards the belt. And we just practice that. Don't worry if you're not going as fast as I am. You take your time, all the time that you need with it. You could always pause this and play it again whenever you need to. I'm just going to do a couple more. I'm not going to do all these. But I do want you to finish them, okay? So you could keep going. You get the idea of it. I won't finish all of the worksheets with you all of the time. I expect you to finish on your own once you get the idea. Okay, now if you want to pause there for a moment, you could either finish or we could you could just wait and go back to finish it while I show you the A right here. For my capital A, my uppercase A, I'm going to start at the headline, slant down and go all the way to the foot line, and then do the same thing on the other side. The cross of my A goes pretty much right on that belt line there. Then my lowercase a, like we talked about before, it starts just below the belt line, goes up to it, round and down. And then we keep continuing with that. Oops, I just did that in the wrong way actually. They want you to start, I started from the foot line and went up. They want you to go like this. Let me do that one more time since I goofed. Okay, so you would finish those up on your own. I do see another set of bold words right here, bold letters, darker letters. It says, so I want to read them. Those are directions. Write a sentence. Use the letters from this page. Remember that a complete sentence, a full sentence, is a complete thought. If I said something like yellow bananas, you would have no idea what I'm talking about. You'd be like, what is she talking about? That makes no sense at all. But if I said, I love to eat yellow bananas, you would understand more of what I'm saying because that's a whole complete thought. So I really want you to stretch your sentences out and try to give enough detail to where we really understand what it is you're saying. So I'm not going to write your sentence for you here, but you could have, I could offer a starter. They just want you to use some M's, maybe S's or A's. They're not even saying all of them. So you could have a sentence starter that was maybe my mom. And then look, we've already used the uppercase and the lowercase m. Is, and then look, I used an S. So you could start that, but finish the thought. My mom is funny, spectacular, smart, you know, whatever it might be. Or you could have an I like statement. Whoa. You could have a sentence starter that is I like. Just make sure whatever it is that you like has some sort of an S or an M or an A in there. All right, nice work, guys. We'll see you later.